to ELA. Last block before the half day. Always exciting. If you have yet to stretch, get your stretch in.
No.
Once you get your stretch in, get your camera on. We are going to scroll through in a moment. And then once you have your camera firmly situated on yourself, head to chin, you can go into the chat. And our question for the day is, do we think that people are naturally either good, bad, or neutral? You have to give us a reason why.
And we're not talking about, like, specific individuals. We're talking about humanity in general. When people are born, how are they?
What is human nature? Are we good?
Alina, I'm gonna make sure to give some house points to Windhouse, because you were the first person to actually tell us the reason, and that's actually a lie. Taz and Alina are both gonna get house points for their houses, because Taz, you gave us the lie.
God.
I'm gonna put 60 more
Sure, I'm
seconds
not trying to
on
do this,
my
though.
phone timer for the do now.
I'm
How
not
is that
trying
for
to
you,
do
Mr.
this,
Woody?
though.
60 seconds is enough?
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my.
And can I shout out some people who should be ready to share, Mr.
Bro,
Woody? Is that
what?
okay with you?
Down them out.
Alright, so Janaya B, I want you to share first. Then I want Madison to share, and then I want Emily to share. Absolutely.
So many.
Damn.
So, Mr. O'Connor, when my timer goes off for the do now, that's when you can start logging deductions and messaging scholars who are not following through the camera. 5 more seconds.
A lot of people with the neutral.
Alright, that is my timer. Janaya, you're up first. Unmute and tell us your stance.
I think that we're more neutral, and it's like our decisions and our actions that can also become bad or good people.
Janaya, what house are you in, my love, so I can give some house points for that beautiful explanation?
With
Alright, Madison, you're up.
okay, I also said neutral because I feel like as like if babies are like first innocent, they don't know what good or evil is yet. So as they grow up, they basically develop their own opinion on what good or evil is. And I said their actions and decisions, and that basically like look for the future, like what they want to do and like how good or evil they will be.
Beautiful, what's your house,
Oh,
Madison?
no.
Thank you. I already knew that because I'm in Firehouse, but I just wanted everyone else to hear that Firehouse is repping. Miss Emily Ramos, last one.
I also think that it's neutral because it's not
What the fuck?
eating good in your lifetime or you can just be bad. But I think that everyone is like good and bad because there's like not a good person that's like 100% like good.
Awesome. Well, 7th grade, it sounds like we have a...
Wait, hang on. I don't know what house Miss Emily Ramos is in.
Oh, Emily Ramos.
Air.
Yeah.
Air. Alright, go ahead, Mr. Woolley.
Sounds like, to me, I don't know, Mr. O'Connor, Mrs. Rourke, we got a lot of subjectivists in the 7th grade, a lot of blank slate people saying that we are all neutral. The reason why we are bringing this up is because this is a conversation that is fascinating, like the human race in general. For in
What
social
the?
psychology, in social psychology. Sorry. And so Milgram was particularly fascinated with the Holocaust. He was of Jewish descent. After World War II, many of his family members that were living in Europe came to come live with him, and he was hearing their stories about experiencing, occupied Europe during the Nazi regime. He particularly was fascinated with their tattoos and the way that they were branded Jewish and the experience that they had. And with that, he started a series of tests that were founded on this Jewish experience in Europe during World War II, which is what we are going to be reading about today in our connected text.
Oh, you got
So
to be
I
kidding
say
me.
we put, what do you think, Mrs. Ward, 1 minute on the clock for us to go into our Google Classroom and open up connected text A. So I am putting 1 minute on my clock. We are opening up connected text A, which is, when you get there, should be titled
It's Unit 2, Seminar 1, Connected Text A. It should be the very first thing you see, or maybe the second thing you see.
And go ahead. You have 1 minute, scholars.
If you've already have
I'm
it
standing
open
there.
because you're just that ahead of the times, then you can maybe make a prediction about what you think the text will be about.
And I am going to stop screen sharing because as we read, I would like to see everyone's face. For those we might have been lagging for, we are opening up connected text A for Unit 2. When you open it, it'll be called the Milgram Experiment. We have about 10 seconds before we get rocking. And
You will hear my timer go off on my phone. That is time.
and before we get started, because we need 100% of the 7th grade right now on us, we are going to do another camera check. If you do not have your camera on right now, it needs to be on. If your camera is up this way, face it down, head to chin, and we are going to go through in the next 5 seconds. So
I'm already on it, so Mr. O'Connor, can you log deductions for Salu, Christopher Banks, Marcos Emil, Guy, Savannah, and Aminata, please? I don't get to see all of you every day. Direct those comments to Mr. O'Connor since he will be logging in. Go ahead, Mr. Woolley. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rourke. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. So I will be in full fast reading the Milgram Experiment. Using a Milgram measured the eagerness of participants to apply the authority figure. One of the most famous studies of obedience in psychology, Stanley Milgram in 1963. Stanley Milgram, a psychologist at Yale University, conducted an experiment focusing on conflict between obedience to authority and personal conscience. He examined justifications for acts of genocide offered by those accused at the World War II Nuremberg War criminal trials. Their defense was often based on obedience, that they were just following orders from their superiors. The experiments began in July 1961, a year after the trial of Adolf Eichmann in Jerusalem. Milgram devised the experiment to answer the question, could it be that Eichmann and his million accomplices in the Holocaust were just following orders? Could we call them all accomplices? Milgram wanted to investigate whether Germans were particularly obedient to authority figures, as this was a common explanation for the Nazi killings in World War II. 8. Milgram was interested in researching how far people would go in obeying an instruction if it involved harming another person. He wanted to know how easily ordinary people could be influenced into committing atrocities. For example, Germans in World War II. Alright, so we're going to pause there.
Mr. Before you say anything else, I want to hear from someone. Why do you think Mr. Woolley has decided to pause there? We haven't taught test taking tips in a very long time, like not at all this year if you're in my classes, so I want to hear from you. You can use the raise hand button. Who's speaking?
Kennedy.
Yes, Kennedy, you can go ahead. You're on the right track. Jane, help her out.
I realized that it's not good because what I do is I get is why I don't want to take this experiment.
Beautiful. So we're at that section heading on a nonfiction text, especially that tells you to stop and jot. Can we, Mr. Woolley, before we ask them the question that you have in mind, give them 1 minute to actually write jots in their document?
Yeah, go for it. I have a timer starting now.
Who do you want to hear from once the timer goes off, Mr. Woolley? Who should be ready to share?
I'd love to hear from Al-Haji.
Alright, so Al-Haji can be 1. Kaylee Hodge, I see you have your hand raised, so you can be 2. Who's going to be 3, Mr. Woolley?
Let's go with Anaya.
Sounds good to me.
And we have 5 more seconds on those jobs scholars. And there goes my timer.
My start go
So,
right.
Al-Haji, what did you jot? Oh, Al-Haji just messaged me in the chat. He said that he jotted about Milgram wanting to study obedience because it would give him insight into why the Nazis were attacking people. I think that is a
How you
great
boxing
job.
up, bro? How you going down?
This is what did you have next?
Kaylee Hodge, and I
Damn.
would love for us to, the chat is like useful, but I would love to hear your question. So
Damn.
Kaylee, if you're able, unmute yourself, my dear.